On a cold day in Tokyo, November 1998, a woman abruptly calls off a wedding with the famed Hunter x Hunter mangaka Yoshihiro Togashi. This shocks Togashi and he literally begged this woman to take him back. Eventually, after laying down some ground rules, the couple decided to finally get married on January 6, 1999. So you might be asking, who the hell is this mystery woman that made a workaholic mangaka take marriage seriously? Well, it's no other than Naoko Takeuchi, the multimillionaire superstar mangaka that literally carried this generation's female anime fanbase through Sailor Moon. To some, she was a complete diva with a princess complex. To many, she was an icon for redefining female characters in the manga and anime space. This is the story behind the creator of the legendary series that generated $13 billion in merch sales. Ravi baby, let them know what time it is. It cannot be denied that Takeuchi got the it factor when it came to manga creation. This was thanks to her obsession with manga from an early age. She was so obsessed that she used to buy and read so much manga that she described herself as an unstoppable monster. She read all the available shoujo magazine in middle school and high school. But this wasn't enough, so she proceeded to read all the male-oriented shonen manga as well. However, this still wasn't enough, so to quench her thirst, Takeuchi resorted to going to doujinshi events. Eventually, this led to this young girl starting to make her own manga. Takeuchi later recalls that she was drawing these stories to escape my studies for university entrance exams. From there, she started to submit her one-shots to a magazine called Nakayoshi, a best-selling shoujo manga magazine. At the ripe age of 19, while being a second-year university student, she made her professional mangaka debut with the work Love Call, which eventually went on to winning the Nakayoshi's New Artist Award. After winning this prestigious award, Sensei spends the next several years creating short manga series for Nakayoshi. Then one day, Takeuchi was like, you know what? I want to make a story about outer space and girl fighters. Her editor at that time, Fumio Osano, one-upped this idea by suggesting, how about we put these girl fighters in school sailor suits? This young ambitious mangaka ran with the idea, and this led to the creation of codenamed Sailor V. Months later, in December 1991, this story concept evolved into Sailor Moon, and honestly, the rest was history. Now, I am convinced Takeuchi was straight up a saint in her past life because literally everything lined up perfectly at a macro level. Firstly, Nakayoshi, the magazine where Sailor Moon was serialized in, had a complete strategy shift in the 1990s. The editor-in-chief during that time, Yoshio Irie, wanted to move this best-selling magazine away from first love stories and wanted to introduce more fantasy series like Sailor Moon. Additionally, Irie pushed for a media mix marketing campaign, which involved close coordination between the magazine, anime productions based on the manga, and merchandise sales. Anime behemoth Toei Animation picked up Sailor Moon and they were able to negotiate with powerhouse Bandai to handle Sailor Moon merch. Of course, the anime was a huge amplification for the Sailor Moon manga, but I think it was the merch that was the deal sealer. I mean, just 2 years in, the Sailor Moon IP generated over 25 billion yen or 160 million USD dollars. I found this old January 1993 magazine issue showcasing the different Sailor Moon merch and it is insane. Chibi figures, moonstick, computer note, shampoo, stationery set, cassettes. Bandai didn't just get a cash cow, they got a whole goddamn cash cow farm. As much as having the proper infrastructure in place is crucial, let's not overlook the fact that Naoko Takeuchi was the driving force behind all of this. She made many of the growing progressive woman class at that time feel represented. The ethos of the Sailor Moon story was a projection of Takeuchi's independent mindset. At the time, because I was personally very independent, I suppose it is natural that my characters also shared my traits. And I think that the grand scale of the story I created also reflected my own personal liberation. But these ideals clashed with the status quo during Japan in the 1990s. In a legendary 2013 Rolla magazine interview, Takeuchi recalls the endless battles she had with old men that got in the way of the Sailor Moon vision. Simply put, Sensei shared that the old men and Nakayoshi didn't understand her vision. From the get-go, she told the staff that Sailor Moon was going to be a squadron of 5 beautiful fighting girls. In response, they said, "Hold up, in a fighting squadron, there's always one comically obese character and another nerdy one with glasses. How are you going to make all 5 of them beautiful? This was the level of complaint Takeuchi was getting at every turn. I mean, this butting of heads is what led to Usagi's hair being blonde. Originally, Takeuchi was going to make Sailor Moon's hair silver, and the old man editor said that the magazine is never going to sell if she used a dull color. Frustrated, Takeuchi's like, bet, I'll make it blonde to make Usagi more princess-like. To that, someone chuckled and sneered. At least it's not grandma style like last time. I'm sure another place Takeuchi drove these men in power crazy was her love life. To an interview question where she was asked what she would do if she became a man for one day, her only response was, have sex. And she did not elaborate. She also describes her car as her boyfriend. Yes, the famous Porsche model pics that you see all over your Twitter timelines. Takeuchi fondly refers to her car as Turbo-kun and admits that her most favorite place in the world is being inside Turbo-kun. In a 1993 interview, the billionaire shares that her favorite hobby is taking Turbo-kun out to the highway for late night drives. But looking beyond these seemingly fun tidbits, what wasn't fun for her editors was her outspoken openness about love. While many Japanese women in the 1990s were quite reserved about their love lives, Takeuchi shared that she loves playing around with men. In the words of the famous mangaka herself, I love the dark silent types. I just love pushing these dark guys with all sort of complexes to their limits. Once I'm done with them, I'll tell them not to get down on themselves and cheer up. Yo, what in the sadism is going on here? But this priority of love converged at a point when she met a man who will later become her soulmates. In August 1997, Miss Takeuchi got invited to a weekly Shonen Jump party. As luck would have it, she was seated right next to Yoshihiro Togashi, the 31-year-old mangaka superstar that wrapped up a huge best-selling manga called Yu Yu Hakusho. This ambitious mangaka was less than 1 year away from dropping a series named Hunter x Hunter. Takeuchi was actually a big fan of Togashi, particularly his science fiction manga called Level E. At this party, Togashi gave Takeuchi his card with his name and number on it. Takeuchi felt convinced that Togashi was hitting on her, so after the party, she gave him a ring. And for some reason during the same call, our man admitted that he knew nothing about Sailor Moon. While many would think this would backfire, Takeuchi kept wanting to talk to this man. I take a hint from Takeuchi's preference in men. Number 1, her type was her character Tuxedo Mask, someone that is cold and pathetic. Number 2, she doesn't care about looks. Takeuchi never went after a guy romantically based on their physical looks. What? Don't groan. I'm just saying on paper, these descriptions match Togashi perfectly. So anyways, these two lovebirds were seriously in love. Takeuchi once shared that she was the type of person who prioritizes love over work when I find someone I like. So with her having some extra time on her hands after wrapping up Sailor Moon, instead of going directly into her next series, she decided to help out Togashi on his new manga called Hunter x Hunter. At first, she tried to play the role of manager by running his office, cleaning after Togashi, etc. However, this was getting nowhere, so Takeuchi tried to help out with Hunter x Hunter manga coloring. But again, she quickly found herself just sitting around doing nothing. In my personal opinion, I think there was work that needed to be done, but I'm sure Togashi held back because he wouldn't want his new girlfriend to be chained to a desk drawing manga for 12 hours a day. This boredom was evident in Takeuchi's short series called Return to Society Punch, where she dives into what she's been up to after the Sailor Moon manga finished. We find out essentially these two were writing love letters to each other throughout the whole day. Takeuchi even admitted to drawing sexy self-portraits of herself in different dresses and poses. Yes, your favorite manga's beginning was powered by Sailor Moon creator in pinup drawings. This short manga series really took me for a crazy spin because at one point, Takeuchi even shared she was showering with Togashi and she asked him to show his foreskin. I bring this cursed knowledge up because I'm just picturing the old men at Nakayoshi continually losing their hair as they find out Takeuchi openly talk about her boyfriend's foreskin to millions of readers. In terms of how Togashi proposed, there's two variations to how this unfolded. One account is that Togashi just didn't like watching Takeuchi stuck at his office, conflicted about her next steps to her career, so Togashi proposed to her, telling her that she could take things easy. On the flip side of the coin, here is the more K-drama version of the story. Takeuchi invited Togashi to dinner to celebrate her birthday, but Togashi stood her up. In response, Takeuchi went off to get piss drunk and called Togashi to yell at him. During the call, she demanded to know what he thought about their current relationship. Togashi said he was thinking about marriage. So 10 months after they met on that random day in June of 1998, Takeuchi phoned her editor, Fumio Osano. She was like, "Hey, I'm quitting my manga career." Osano brushed the story off because he heard this story before, but she ends that statement with, "I'm getting married."
Nani the fuck?
After this proposal, things took another K-drama turn. Months were piling up, Togashi was getting busier with Hunter x Hunter, and marriage talks weren't getting anywhere. And if things could get even more difficult, the general public actually thought these two were married at this point. There was actually fan mail being sent to Togashi congratulating him on his new marriage. So with all this pressure, Takeuchi goes D-Day mode and demanded some answers from Togashi. Was he serious about getting married? What was his views on marriage anyways? To that first question, Togashi quickly responds with, "Yeah, let's get married." But to the second question, homie really fumbled the bag. This is verbatim, and I can't make this shit up. Togashi says, "We'll keep each other's last names, live separately, and both work. Oh, and we won't butt in each other's jobs. No kids, no legal marriage, and I don't want a ceremony. Cheating is also okay for either one of us." Togashi, are you out of your goddamn minds? Well shit. Takeuchi sped off in her Turbo-kun with that brain-dead response. She decided to call off the wedding, worked on formal steps to relaunch her manga career, and most importantly, find a new boyfriend. This fucking woke Togashi up and brought him back to his senses. He spent the next days begging Takeuchi to take him back. And I guess Takeuchi's Uno reversal card and Togashi's begging worked because the couples ended up tying the knot on January 1999. On January 6, 1999, 9:30 a.m. JST, the two married at the Four Seasons Hotel in Byonkyo-ku, Tokyo. 24 years later, these two are still happily married and have 2 kids. I gravitated towards Takeuchi because she is such a polarizing figure. On one hand, she's every woman's lady crush, a young millionaire who penned the most famous shoujo manga, decked out in the latest Chanel, zooming past you in her Turbo-kun. On the other hand, people thought of her as being hot-tempered, arrogant, entitled, and having a complete princess complex. However, it cannot be denied that she made her mark in the manga world, and I don't think this is ever going to be publicly expanded on, but when Togashi was dealing with health problems in 2022 and couldn't even wipe his ass, Takeuchi was right there by his side. That is all you gotta know. Just like Usagi is to her friends, homegirl is simply a ride or die bad motherfucker.